And we're live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another NOVOFLEX webinar. Today we have both Martin Grahl and Andreas Marks with us. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Hi, Matt. We're doing great here in Memmingen, even though it's already dark. And for you, it's just lunchtime, but we're used to this. We did so many webinars with you, and it was always a fun time together.
Well, thank you for joining us today and sharing your knowledge. Today is going to be a very technical webinar, I hear.
Exactly. We had the inspirational part with Alan Shapiro 2 weeks ago, and Alan had some amazing imagery that he created with our new auto bellows for the Fujifilm GFX system. And we had a bunch of technical questions coming in right at the webinar and right after the webinar. And today we want to dive deeper into the technical components, into individual components that the system is composed of. We will show you different magnification factors, the different magnification factors you can achieve when using the 120 macro. We will speak about using a reversing ring and show you how to reverse one of your zoom or kit lenses onto the camera. And we will demonstrate all of this by letting you view right through the viewfinder of our GFX camera.
Right. That's wonderful. And for those of you just joining us, you probably know exactly why you're here, but this is a webinar called Unlocking Creative Potential Using Auto Bellows and Reverse Adapters for the Fujifilm GFX. Now, that is a gigantic digital sensor, is it not?
Absolutely. It's 33 millimeters by 44 millimeters across. So I think it's one of the biggest digital sensors out there.
Wonderful.
Don't you agree, Matt?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And its quality is a lot of people are talking about it and very much enjoying it. So thank you, NOVOFLEX, for bringing this product to market so that people can do more with macro. So for everybody who's just tuning in, please let us know where you're tuning in from in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, we'd appreciate that too. Let us know in the comments. But for everybody that's here live, thank you for being here today. Please ask us questions. You can use the Q&A, or if you use the chat, I might upgrade your questions to Q&A. I will be off screen during this. It's Andreas and Martin that will be performing this presentation today. But have fun, buckle up. Please ask all the questions you have so that everyone can get the most out of this presentation. Take it away, guys.
Okay, thanks for the introduction. So, okay, as I told as I mentioned during my introduction, we're mostly working with the 120 macro today because that's the lens that Alan used for most of his stunning and amazing images that he showed us 2 weeks ago. And to get you some additional facts on the 120 macro, the 120 macro will get, when used directly on the GFX camera, will get you anything from infinity focus to a magnification factor of 1 to 2, which means half times life size. And to demonstrate this, we will switch the camera right to the GFX, so you can have a view right through the viewfinder of our GFX camera. I will do this right now. So what you are seeing right now is the image of a ruler. And as I mentioned earlier, the GFX has a sensor size of 44 millimeters. 44 millimeters. And, oops. Sorry. We have to bring up the image again. Has an image size of 44 millimeters. And what we're seeing here are roughly 88, 90 millimeters across the ruler, which means this is half times life size magnification on this sensor size. And the lens right now is set to the near focusing range, which is 45 centimeters or roughly 5 inches.
Around 5 inches. So yes, we have to say this ruler is with centimeters, not inch. So make sure that.
Okay, and to get to a higher magnifications, we will now hook up our camera and lens to the new auto bellows, which is the BAL-FUG bellows, the Belfood bellows. And we will show you what image or what magnification factors you can achieve by adding the bellows in between the camera and the lens.
Yeah, so have in mind this was the nearest part to get with the camera and the lens
attached directly to each other.
And now we change to the bellows.
Exactly. We now detach the camera from our focusing rail. This is the auto bellows that Alan used. It has the GFX mount on the front and on the back. And I hand it over to Andreas. He will attach it to the camera. So it is basically like attaching the lens directly to the camera. And now we have some additional extension in between.
So now we go there
to this focusing rail over there.
Just come in. Okay.
Just clamp it down.
Perfect.
And as you can see, Andreas just attached the bellows directly by means of the Arca-compatible rail of the bellows to one of our Arca-compatible focusing rails. This rail that we're using here right now is a Castel XQ2 rail, but you can also use our the newest addition to our focusing rails, which is the Castel QP. Just compress the bellows. We're now compressing the bellows completely, and I will switch over. Now you go back to infinity.
Yes.
Andreas is
just a moment. Okay.
Into focus.
So, just a little out of focus. Okay, here we are.
And as you can see right now, we're roughly at, not exactly, but roughly again at 88 millimeters. The same magnification that we had when using the lens attached directly to the camera and set at its nearest focusing range. And if we now extend the bellows to its fullest extension, you will see what happens. We're getting even closer and closer.
Of course, we have to go even now. Okay. So you see the
exactly. Now we will let us detach the sunshade here. And did you adjust the focus already to the close focus range? We're now adjusting the focus to the close focus range. This will give us some extra magnification. Okay.
Okay. Now we have to go much nearer.
To refocus.
Not so much.
Exactly. And now we're seeing 15 millimeters on this ruler, which means at a sensor size of 44 millimeters across, this is roughly 3 times magnification. Isn't that cool? And as you can see here, we still have like 13 centimeters of extra space in between our subject and the front lens element, which gives us more than enough space to properly light our subject. So even if you're taking photos of, let's say, some shy animals, they won't flee too soon.
Yes, and even
anything you want to add?
Yes, for the lightning, it's
exactly that's
the
what
better
I meant.
the more space you have.
Exactly,
between.
you have more than enough space to properly light your subject.
Okay.
So this was the first configuration. And if we now detach the camera and the lens from the Bellows again, I will show you the different components the Bellows is composed of and what you can do with these components besides using them with just the Bellows.
Okay.
Okay.
Just give me the lens.
So this is the lens. I will switch the camera.
Perfect.
So this is the Bellows and it's at full extension. So as you see, it is large enough to accept medium format cameras and even large format lenses. And I mentioned earlier that we can detach the mounts that are attached to both Bellows standards. If I just unscrew the blue little screws here, I can detach the front mount. And the two little screws here, I can detach the rear mount. And this is a thing that we call a retro adapter. And these two mounts are connected by a wire, which transfer the entire communication between the camera and the lens back and forth. So you are still able to control the aperture setting. You're still able to, in some cases, to use autofocus, even though that we recommend you not to use autofocus and use one of our focusing rails instead, because in macro photography, you usually have to deal with a very shallow depth of field and less contrast, and you will notice when you turn on your autofocus that the autofocus will kind of hunt, so it won't find a proper focus.
Yes. It's much easier to use a focusing rail.
Exactly.
Really.
And I said this thing is called a retro adapter. What does that mean? In my introduction, I'll also mention that you can reverse mount a lens onto your camera. So if you don't own the 120 macro, but if you use a zoom lens or a kit lens instead, let's say a 35 to 70 or a 32 to 64 millimeter lens, you can simply reverse mount it with the help of this retro adapter. And I will show you how this works.
Hey, Martin.
Yeah, sure.
We have a timely question. Harut
Sure.
asked, may I assume that whatever will be said about the reverse adapter for GFX cameras goes also for other cameras too?
Most of what has been said and what I will show you now. The only difference between the GFX reverse adapter and the reverse adapters that we offer for 35 millimeter APS-C size and MFT size cameras, the only difference is the thread size, the filter thread size, which for the GFX adapter is 77 millimeters by default. And for the reverse adapters that we offer for Nikon, Canon EOS R, MFT, Fuji X, the filter thread diameter is 58 millimeters. So that's pretty much the only difference.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so I said the reverse adapter can be used to reverse mount the lens, and it has a 77 millimeter filter thread by default. We have here the 35 to 70 millimeter zoom lens, which is a pretty decent performer on the GFX.
Works good.
And this lens has a 58 millimeter. Is that the right diameter? No,
62.
The 62 millimeter filter thread. So that means we would need a stepping ring in between to hook this up to the 77 millimeter of the reverse adapter. So that's all you need. And you can screw it into the rear mount of the reverse adapter. Just remove the cap.
It's important that you first screw it on and then do the rear mount, because otherwise the wire comes around the lens.
Yeah, you will get in trouble with the wire.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I hand it over to Andreas, and he will attach it to the GFX, and we will then switch to the live image from the camera again.
Oh. Go on here.
And what we will show you is the magnification at different focal length. So we're now at 70 millimeter, which is the longest focal length for this lens. Adjust the focus rail a little. What are we seeing here? How many centimeters? We're at 1, 2. Oh, where's the live image?
Yeah, it's
okay. We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're roughly at 1 to 2 again. And if we adjust the focal length, we maybe go to 45 millimeters.
Yes. Just come nearer here, like.
Yeah, we're at
45.
45 millimeters. Close focus range.
And closer here. Okay.
We're at, what do we have here? 3.5 centimeters. So we're roughly at 1 to 1, pretty much. And if you go to 35 millimeters.
Yes, I think let's
see if we can.
Too near.
It's too close?
Maybe.
No.
No, it works, but you don't have a chance to get light in.
Yeah, we're pretty close right now. We're almost at 2 times magnification, but we're pretty close right now. Where's my ruler? We're at how many inches from the front lens element? We're roughly at 1.5 inches distance between the front lens element and the subject. So, but as you can see, if you don't own a dedicated macro lens, meaning the 120 macro, and you have one of your zoom lenses on hand, just reverse them and use them as a macro lens. That's a pretty cool feature of our auto bellows and our reversing ring.
And you see it's pretty sharp over the whole size.
So if we if you detach the components again, we can just lay them out flat on the table so people can see what the whole thing is composed of. So Matt, do we have any questions already in the chat?
Yeah, I was working on answering some of June's questions. They're regarding the Sony system, and not necessarily the Fuji system. June asked if there are reverse adapters for the Sony E9 II. And she also added that she has the NOVOFLEX Bellows, which fit on her Sony 90 millimeter macro lens.
Oh, so she has a smaller bellows than the one that we were working here at today?
Yes, yeah, she has the 35 millimeter sized bellows. Yep.
Okay, so
I was just replying to her that yes, if she has the NOVOFLEX bellows and the adapter, then she already owns the retro adapter, which I'm sure you were about to demonstrate.
Exactly. So these are basically the 2 components that you need if you either want to reverse mount the lens or if you want to work with an auto bellows for the GFX system. One feature worth noting is that the auto reversing ring for GFX comes with its own mount, so it mounts directly to any Bellpro series, NOVOFLEX Bellpro series bellows. That is the Bellpro 1 that it comes with, the Bellpro TS. So if you want to employ tilt and shift capabilities in your macro photography to extend the depth of field. And if you not want to use focus stacking, then this could be a good solution for you. Hook up the
special effects.
Exactly. Or if you want to bring in special effects to your macro photography, then you could hook up the retro reversing ring for Fuji GFX to the Bell Proteus bellows. And if you happen to have one of our bellows attachments for the stepping motor driven focusing rail, Castle Micro, that would be the Castle Pro bellows, then you could hook up the retro reversing ring to this one as well. So it's that simple. No further adapters necessary because they are integrated. They are an integral part of the auto reversing ring. So what else is worth noting? The bellows, the auto bellows, has the Arca compatible rail on the bottom, so you can slide it or mount it to any Arca compatible focusing rail. We recommend our Castle XQ2 rail or our Castle QP rail. That's the one over here. So it works on both rails. There's no extra. There is no extra coupling plates necessary. It attaches directly. Why is a separate rail necessary? There's if you notice here, there's two rails right above each other. So the uppermost rail is responsible for the bellows extension.
Sure.
And therefore for setting your magnification factor. And if you've done that, you would use the lower rail to set your focus.
Great.
It is that simple.
I think June will let us know if that fully satisfied the questions that she had.
Please do. We're here to help.
Yep.
So, and to anyone, if some questions come up right after the end of this webinar, just shoot us an email, and we'll be happy to answer all the questions that are coming up.
Great.
Right?
Yep. One more question from Anise. What tripod are you using there on the tabletop?
On the tabletop, this is our TrioPod Pro 75 base. For anyone who is familiar with our TrioPod system, this is our modular system. So it's this base has removable legs, and the tripod that Andreas is using behind the table is the same base, just with longer legs attached to it. So it's a highly modular system. The one that Andreas has standing right next to him has a self-locking geared center column attached into the base, and this one here on the table has a leveling countersunk into the base. And if you want to know more about our TrioPod system, last year we finished a comprehensive video in Matt's studio in Catskill. Just go to YouTube and have a look. Yes.
Let's see. So just to follow up on what June asked about, she just wanted to make sure, like, just the absolute clarity. She's saying so you don't use the reverse adapter on the bellows. I think just clarify how the reverse adapter is part of the system, and you can use a lens facing forward or reversed.
Okay.
Right.
So this is a kit that we call the GFX Auto Bellows. It's also available for Sony and all the other mirrorless system cameras. So the kit is always composed of a bellows of appropriate size for the camera system and the reversing adapter. So if you invest into one of our auto bellows, it always comes with the bellows and the appropriate reversing adapter. If you want to reverse mount a lens after having purchased one of our auto bellows, just detach the reversing adapter from the bellows and reverse mount the lens directly. Attach it to your camera in reverse.
Right.
And if your lens has a different filter thread than for this ring, 77 millimeters, and for all other rings, 58 millimeters, you would need a separate stepping ring. What's also possible is you can also use a lens in reverse on the bellows. Also possible. And you just detach the frontmost mount, this one here, and you would have to purchase a separate adapter that has a thread that your lens hooks up to, and then it works like this.
Okay. But it does not work with any lens because
exactly.
you are very near, very close.
Very close.
Yeah, it's too close to work.
Did this answer the question?
I believe so. June, please let us know if that satisfies.
Maybe we can say you also can do it the other way around. You first buy this one, which you can buy separately.
Exactly.
And afterwards,
you can step up and purchase the bellows.
Buy the bellows.
Okay, great.
So as always, it's a system. You're investing in a system.
Great.
Just purchase the parts that you need and pile up from there.
Wonderful. I don't have any other questions, so if you have more that you'd like to demonstrate, please proceed.
I think that was pretty much it, right, yes, Andreas?
It's not that complicated.
As we always tell people, it's a very easy system. It needs explanation, that's for sure. But if you're into the system, it's quite easy.
Gotcha. Okay. June did reply. She said, "Thanks for that explanation. I got my bellows out. Yes, it is smaller. It has the reversing adapter on the front and the back of the bellows, but my rail is not the double focusing style." I think it bears explanation that that's a focusing rail underneath it, in addition to the bellows, correct?
Say that again, the last part of the question.
She believes that per the previous explanation that there's a different kind of bellows that's double focusing. I think that what she saw was a focusing rail attached to the bottom of a bellows.
That may be, yes, but I will repeat that if you invest into one of our bellows systems, whether or not it is a GFX or the bellows or one of the smaller ones, you should also purchase a separate focusing rail to make sure to fine-tune your focus, and that's crucial.
Absolutely.
Don't you agree?
Absolutely, yes.
And I think, Matt, you would agree as well.
Absolutely. It's almost impossible to use the bellows without a focusing rail.
And without constantly changing your magnification factor, if you rack out the bellows.
Yeah, I mean, you could take one very shallow depth of field photograph, but after that, if you want a focus stack, you need a focusing rail.
Exactly.
Yeah. Harut asked, I think you have a protecting filter for the retro adapter. What filter is it?
Yes.
Yes, Andreas will bring it. It's a heliopan protection filter. So we're a manufacturer based in Germany, and of course we use German-made filters. So it's a clear glass filter made by Heliopan in Gräfelfing, which is close to Munich, and of course it's 77 millimeters in diameter.
Heliopan. What is the Heliopan? What?
It's a Heliopan protection, SHPMC, multi-coated. Yes, and you can purchase it separately, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It does not come with the reversing ring for GFX.
Okay. Cool. I'm just writing down these answers and publishing them in the Q&A here.
Awesome.
June wanted to know, what is the name of the separate focusing rail?
The separate focusing rail. So the small one here, is named Castel QP because the clamping runs parallel to its rail, and the bigger one here is called Castel XQ2. So it's a dual track rail. So fine focusing is underneath, and there's much more simple focusing on top of the rail.
Great.
And the clamping on top of the rail is across 90 degrees across. So
great. I just answered those for June. And I'm going to publish those for everybody. So anybody who wants to see to copy and paste the answers, they can just go to the Q&A and copy and paste those. And we will we'll take the Q&A questions and answers and send that information out with the follow-up email after the webinar, folks.
Awesome. Thanks for your invaluable help, Matt.
It's a pleasure. Go team.
Exactly.
All right. I don't see any more Q&A coming in, but thank you, everybody, for all of the great questions. And for everybody who is watching this on the replay now, since we're sort of wrapping up the live webinar, just because you're watching a replay doesn't mean you shouldn't ask questions. So wherever you're watching it, leave a comment, and we'll hear you and we'll reply. So thank you for that.
Exactly. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your time.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.